movie begins in 1868, deep in the snowy Ruby Mountains. Gideon is roasting meat over a campfire when his horse suddenly grows restless. Without warning, gunshots ring out and a bullet strikes his left arm. Grabbing what he can, he rushes down the mountain, leaving his gun behind as his horse panics and bolts. His pursuers step out from hiding. Carver, a former Confederate officer, along with bounty hunters Pope, Hayes, Parsons, and the Kid. They are after the bounty on his head. Wounded, he stumbles toward a fast-moving river. Attempting to cross on a fallen tree, he slips into the rushing water and is swept toward a waterfall. Though badly battered, he manages to survive and push forward. Seeing no tracks on the other side, the group assumes he went over the falls and could not have lived. However, Carver remains convinced he is still alive and keeps looking for his body. To survive the freezing cold after climbing out of the water, he uses gunpowder from his bullets to start a fire, then painfully digs the bullet out of his arm. Leaving the flames behind, he doubles back to throw them off his trail, but Carver anticipates the move. The men split up, certain their target cannot be far. But what Pope never expects is this. While tracking the trail, he notices blood dripping from a tree above him. The moment he looks up, a knife drops straight onto his head. The first hunter falls. Taking Pope's weapon, Gideon disappears back into the deep forest. After a while, the group regathers and realizes that Pope is missing. Carver warns everyone to stay sharp, reminding them they will not get paid if Gideon dies. Eventually, they find Pope's body with his stomach cut open. The Kid panics and wonders what kind of man they are chasing. Could he be half man, half wolf? Gideon finds a house and tries to steal a horse, but a young woman catches him. Weak from his wound, he can barely resist. Charlotte decides to help him and treats his injury. When her father returns, he scolds her for bringing a thief into their home. Thinking quickly, Gideon offers to buy their horse, and this allows him to stay the night. That evening, while he is resting, a young boy plays near him with a wooden gun. The sight of the child brings back painful memories of the mistake Gideon made during the war, filling him with guilt. Before dawn, he quietly decides to leave. By morning, the pursuers track his trail to the house. They find a coin and realize Gideon bought the horse, but the family says he left very early, and they do not know where he went. Following the trail, they discover a campfire and a horse nearby. He has no idea that Gideon is watching them from a distance. Gideon waits until nightfall, but they still do not leave. While trying to figure out where the remaining man is, Carver suddenly appears behind him. From the voice alone, Gideon immediately realizes that this is the same colonel from years ago, the man he once committed an unforgivable crime against. Carver forces Gideon to drop his weapon and turn to face him. He quickly alerts the others. Taking advantage of the moment, Gideon makes a run for it. Carver fires, but the shot misses. By morning, Gideon continues using guerrilla tactics, luring them into the woods. There, he finds a dead bear caught in a trap. An idea quickly forms in his mind. He sets up an ambush. The Kid, walking at the back, is the unlucky one who falls into it. He does not survive. Although Parsons tries to save him, Carver ends the Kid's suffering with a single shot. Gideon keeps moving while the hunters remain close behind. As he nears the desert, he encounters a group of men riding along the trail. Realizing they are robbers, he calmly says he only wants to be left alone. However, one of them suspects Gideon is the man rumored to have killed over 100 men alone, a former elite officer under General McClellan of the Union Army. After Gideon walks some distance away, one of the robbers quickly rides after him. Knowing he cannot outrun a horse on foot, Gideon stops. He quietly draws his knife. The man never realizes it is the last moment of his life. A short while later, the pursuers find the robber's body with a wound to his throat. Parsons realizes the man is wanted with a $250 bounty and decides to abandon the hunt to claim the reward instead. Seeing that Parsons is leaving the group for personal gain, Carver shoots the horse he is riding, declaring it belongs to him, forcing Parsons to face a 30-mile journey on foot, almost a death sentence in the wilderness. Meanwhile, Gideon comes across a railroad construction site. Hungry and exhausted, he decides to find some food to regain his strength. Unfortunately, he runs into the foreman, who recognizes the stolen horse and, along with his men, captures him. Not long after, Carver and Hayes also arrive at the railroad looking for him. Taking advantage of the moment, Gideon lures a guard closer, overpowers him, and escapes. Knowing Carver is nearby and cannot be allowed to catch him, he steals a horse from the stable and rides off quickly. Meanwhile, Carver and Hayes stop at a missionary camp and offer to pay for food. The next morning, as they continue the hunt, Carver checks his ammunition and discovers the missionaries have stolen their bullets to prevent further bloodshed. With no other choice, he is left with only a single bullet, enough for Gideon. A few days later, Gideon's exhausted horse collapses under the burning heat. With no other choice, he is forced to put it down and then disappears into the barren land. Not long after, Carver and Hayes follow the trail and discover a horse lying in the desert with its belly cut open. Hayes dismounts to take a closer look, frowning as he wonders what could have done this. The moment he leans down to peer into the slashed belly, Gideon suddenly bursts out from inside the carcass. Hayes has no time to react before he is overpowered. Gideon presses a blade to his throat and demands that Carver drop his gun. But Carver does not hesitate. He fires his last remaining bullet, and it is not meant for Gideon. Gideon is stunned, thinking he has been shot. Carver manages to overpower him, unaware that his gun is actually out of bullets. At last, the two men are forced to confront the painful past that tore them apart. Carver has been hunting Gideon for so long that he can no longer remember when it all began. Years earlier, after the American Civil War ended, Captain Gideon was ordered to capture Colonel Carver of the Confederacy. When he arrived at Seraphim Falls, Carver was out working in the fields with his son, leaving only his wife and their newborn baby at home. Gideon ordered his men to search the property. They found no sign of Carver and assumed the house was empty. Trying to force Carver's wife to reveal his whereabouts, tensions rose. In the chaos, Gideon ordered the barn to be burned. But the fire quickly spread beyond control, reaching the main house just as Carver returned and was restrained by Union soldiers. His wife, Rose, and their son rushed inside to save the newborn baby. They never came back out. When Gideon realized the house had not been empty, he was horrified and angrily rebuked the soldier responsible for the mistake. Overwhelmed with guilt, he removed his gun belt and walked away from his unit. Back in the present, Gideon and Carver clash in a brutal fight. In the end, Gideon overpowers him, but chooses to spare his life, warning that continuing the pursuit will only bring more tragedy. He takes 2 horses and rides away. Dehydrated and desperate, Gideon eventually finds a small water hole in the desert. In a place like this, water means survival. To gain access to it, he is forced to trade one of his horses to the man who claims ownership of the water. Not long after, Carver arrives and also finds the water hole. He realizes Gideon must have made a deal there and left behind the black horse. Even knowing this, he pretends not to notice. The native man returns the black horse to Carver, since it does not belong to him. In return for the kindness, Carver tosses him a few silver coins, paying only for the water, not the horse. Later, under the merciless desert sun, Gideon nearly collapses. He stops and stares toward the horizon, unaware that a woman has been watching him. Madame Louise offers to trade a single bullet for his horse. Seeing Carver approaching in the distance, Gideon agrees. Meanwhile, Carver, equally exhausted, falls from his horse, struggling back to his feet. He too encounters Madame Louise. She offers to trade a pistol with 1 bullet in exchange for his water. When he spots Gideon ahead, Carver accepts the deal. At last, the 2 broken men face each other once more. As Carver prepares to fire, Gideon shoots first, wounding him in the side. Gideon disarms him but does not deliver the final blow. Instead, he gives Carver a choice. After a brief hesitation, Carver throws the gun away. Gideon hands him water and helps him to his feet. In silence, the 2 men walk in opposite directions, each disappearing into the wilderness to follow his own path. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more stories like this.